Veganuary. A word that's a little hard to pronounce, but it's catching on across the developed world. This year, the online-based movement and charity saw more than 225,000 people worldwide commit to a plant-based diet during the month of January.
It's no longer a counterculture movement, it's a movement that's entered the mainstream.
Most decide to avoid consuming meat and dairy products because of animal rights or health concerns. But another reason is climate change. Studies show that around a quarter of total global emissions come from food production, and almost 60% of those come from animal products. Researchers at the University of Oxford have compared the environmental impact of what it takes to produce different foods. They say eating an orange twice a week for a year contributes as much greenhouse gas emissions as driving a car for 10 miles. In comparison, 2 servings of beef twice a week is like driving that same car for 10 kilometers. But is veganism really the answer to reducing carbon emissions?
It kind of depends on where in the world you are. Here in the U.S., where per capita beef consumption is among the highest of countries, it makes sense to shift. But in looking across sub-Saharan Africa or South Asia, where people are consuming very little meat and dairy, it makes sense to not worry so much about meat consumption there.
Companies around the world are cashing in on the vegan trend.
A lot of those products right now are not cheaper than the conventional animal-based products, so I think that's going to be a really interesting thing to watch going forward.
Kepra Anu decided to scrap meat substitutes off the menu completely. He opened his raw vegan restaurant in 2011, and he says interest has grown significantly.
One of the biggest challenges is trying to make healthy food cool or hip or something like most people would want to do. And my philosophy has been, my aim and my mission is trying to make healthy food just an option, an option for everyone.
For those not quite ready to quit meat, what options are out there?
Maybe something an even more interesting trend that we're seeing is sort of this rise of people of flexitarianism. People saying, I'm interested in eating more plant-based foods. Maybe I'm not going to cut it out altogether. Could go vegan, I could go vegetarian, or I could just try to incorporate more plants into my diet.
The world's population is projected to hit 10 billion by 2050. And as more people move to cities and incomes rise, so will meat and dairy consumption. Whether it's meat or vegetables, in the end, the key is sustainability. Maria Galang, CGTN, Washington.